Hello and welcome to the 8th episode of the Bees Analytica Podcast. I'm delighted to say we're joined by former Football League manager Dino Maamria, who will be joining us for an interview talking a bit through his career, working with different owners and the finance of football, and then we'll tie it up at the end with discussion about his coaching pathway. So, James, I'll leave it to you.
Yeah, so you came across to England in 1996, obviously from your native Tunisia. How was it different to playing in your homeland?
Well, it was 1995 actually. So I came to Burnley Football Club from all the clubs you can come to from a nice warm climate in Tunisia. You get to the coldest and wettest place in England, probably Burnley. But to be fair, it's a fantastic football club. It's lovely people. I still keep in touch a lot with a lot of people there at the football club. So it was a culture shock at the beginning. I think you got to adjust to the British culture, not just the weather, the type of football they expect. Everything was different. Where I come from, Tunisia is all about more technical game. But when I got here, it was the physical demand of the game was immense. It was a proper culture shock. In 1995, it was just the start of the players coming to the UK from all over the world. Before that, they were mainly British players. But I remember when I came to Burnley, I was the only foreign player there. There is obviously Scottish players there with English players, and getting to the dressing room with the Scottish, with London boys, with Northern boys, different accent. You think the English that you learned from school, what I learned from school, will put you in good stead. But then you walk into the dressing room with a different accent. I had to get my head around that as well, because they don't teach you Scottish accent at schools in Tunisia.
Yeah. I bet that was a proper culture shock with some of the accents, and
especially
from the Highland boys.
I remember we had Ted McMean in the dressing room, and Ted McMean, he's a top guy, and he's very, very funny guy. And I never understood the word he said. Every other word was the F word. And I'm thinking, well, I don't know anything about the F word because they don't teach you that school either.
Did you mentioned the difference in culture and difference in football? Did you kind of fall in love with the British culture and the way of doing things, or?
Absolutely, I love the passion. The one of the biggest things I think was you go to every game, you go to stadiums, and stadium are packed. Whichever level you go to, the stadium are full. The passion of the fans. How they set up so close to the pitch, it was unbelievable, and I think, and not just me. There is a lot of players who come in from Europe, from wherever, South America, from Africa. They come to England and they fall in love with the British game because the passion here you don't find anywhere else. From the fans, from the intensity of the game, how fast, quick the game is, the demand they put on you to get results. It's such an intense game, and I think that's what made me fall in love with it. You're right.
Yeah, and it obviously didn't quite work out at Burnley, but you went across to Ireland. I'm sure the year you spent in Burnley would have helped prepare.
Well, it's I was very, very unfortunate. I came in at a good age. I think at 24. I broke my leg within a few weeks when I came in. I was out of the game for about 18, 20 months. And then Burnley, to be fair, they looked after me. They sent me when I got getting back to fitness. They sent me to Ireland for a couple of months, I think, Glentoran, and then I went to Scotland as well for Ayr United. So I went in just at the end of just to get some fitness and all the rest of it. And I did that. That was even more of a culture shock, if that makes sense. I remember Glen Little came from Glentoran. And to Burnley, and I've gone from Burnley to Glentoran the other way around. It was. But again, it's about adapting. It's about I just wanted to play football, and being out for the game. You come to a new country, a new environment. I don't have an agent. I don't have anybody with me. No one to advise me. Then you get frozen out with a nasty injury. What do you do? There is nobody who's going to help you to tell you what you should do and what you shouldn't do. I didn't want to go back home because that would have seemed a big failure. I was determined to stay here. And yeah, I ended up going to Ireland, and then I signed for Doncaster Rovers the following season.
Yeah, I was going to say you dropped into non-league and spent the majority of your career down there. How was it compared to non-league now, considering you worked?
Well, I was that's probably my biggest. It's not a regret because you can't really control circumstances. When I was here, I came at 24. 24 by the time I started playing again, I was 26. 26, nobody knows you. No agent to put me to any football clubs, different football clubs. So when I remember Clive Middlemas at Burnley Football Club, he spoke to Ian Snowden at Doncaster Rovers, and he took me there. So Clive pulled me, says, "You go to Doncaster Rovers," and I went there. I didn't know anybody, really, anything. So yeah, I ended up playing at Doncaster for 2 or 3 years, and then obviously stayed in the National League, the conference back then, for the rest of my career until 2008 and 9 when we got to the football league with Stevenage.
Were you surprised at the quality of the football in the non-league, considering in other countries maybe the non-league game's not quite as strong, but it's fiercely competitive in this country?
Well, it was very similar, really, to the League Two and League One. It's not much difference. I remember the Doncaster team that I played in. We had some fantastic players. We had Steve Nichols from Liverpool, the ex-centre back Liverpool. We have John Sheridan, the centre midfielder with us. We had Mike Newell, Blackpool Rovers centre forward. That's my team at Doncaster. We had some Premier League players in that team. So, the quality of play, some fantastic football as well. I remember the old Bellevue with beautiful pitch, big pitch. It was with the Football League and some of them Premier League players.
Yeah, were you? Did you ever get frustrated that you weren't getting picked up by clubs higher up, maybe playing more in the Football League than you did?
Well, I again, it's hopefully I'll be a luckier manager than I was a footballer. I remember in my second year at Doncaster, I think, and by then I was maybe 27, 28, and Cardiff City came in for me. Cardiff City, they were in the old first division back then, but championship now. And they came in for me in March 2000, I think, on deadline day. And I remember Ian Snowden, the manager, pulled me on the Monday. The deadline was Wednesday. Pulled me on the Monday and says, "We agreed a deal for you to go to Cardiff City." And we had a game against Southport on the Tuesday night. He pulled me out of the game, and I was supposed to go on Wednesday morning to sign the paper and then do everything. And then that deal fell through for one reason or another. And then they never looked back. When you get to 28, I think it'll be too late then to get you moved back into the Football League and to get back to championship level. It'll be too late, like anybody. I think if we see the progression of young players from non-league to the Football League, they get spotted at 20, 21, 22. But by then I was 27, 28. Like I said, when I came here, it was 24. Didn't play for 2 years. You're 26. By 26, you probably missed people from high division. They look for the younger ones, don't they?
Yeah, you certainly made the most of the career though, playing until you were, just shy of your 40th birthday. What was your success? The key to playing for so long.
Well, I pride myself on my fitness. I've always have. I've always been, when I was younger, I've always been the fittest player in every team I played for, and I kept that up really. And I'm still fit now. I still go to the gym regular. Keep on top of myself, and I think that's probably the way I eat, the way I lead my life. I spent all my life dedicated myself to football, and that's probably, there is no secret to it. It's about dedication, really. It's about making it a way of life, if that makes sense.
Yeah, as you were getting older, were you ever wanting to be a manager, or was it something that just sort of happened? Manager?
No, I've always my management is always in my pathway. If we go back again. To my couple of years injury at Burnley, I thought I spent that time wisely. So in those 2 years, while I'm getting rehab, I actually started coaching at Burnley Football Club Academy, and I do 2-3 nights a week with under 12, 13, 14 to get my English better, to expand my English language as well, to get grasp of it, plus to get into coaching as early as I can. So those 2 years I got into coaching, and I remained. Even when I got back playing full-time football at Doncaster Rovers and various other clubs, I kept my academy job at Burnley Football Club. So I used to go train at Doncaster Rovers in the morning, drive back at night time, 3 nights a week, on a Monday night, on a Wednesday night, on a Thursday night, I'll be taking one of the age groups at Burnley Football Club Academy. And I've done that for about 8 years, really. And that's when I got my coaching badges, the B license. I passed my A license, I think, when I was 29, at a very young age. So I knew my pathway was, I've done football what I've done, and I want to get on as a manager when I finish playing.
Yeah, in the end, you got your big chance with Northwich Victoria, and taking over as the club falls into administration, which is never easy. It was a bit of a baptism of fire for you.
Well, it's you don't really, when you're at that level, you don't get to choose. When you're rookie manager, it's your first chance as management. You just got to back yourself, and that's certainly what I did. I remember we had a horrific start to the season. Neil Renton was the manager there, and I think we had 15 games, and we only picked up 2 points from 15 games. We were rock bottom, certain for relegation. Actually, the bookies will stop taking bets on us going down. The club is going to go to administration. People not getting paid. There is so many problems. Northwich Victoria was a very, very lovely, good club at non-league level at the time. We had a lovely new stadium. The club is going to go on, but unfortunately, some really financial problem. And the chairman rang me and he says, you coach at Burnley. You're the most experienced players. Do you want to take this job? So I had no choice, really. So I took it, and we end up going on an unbelievable run of games the second half of the season. I think we're averaging about 1.4 points per game, which is a playoff form to save the club from relegation with the game to spare.
Yeah, you certainly didn't do badly, winning the Manager of the Year award for the division at the end of the year.
Yeah, I did. I remember Aldershot won the league with Gary Waddick that season, and I remember I got the Manager of the League award, and and everybody. I remember clearly on the 22nd of May 2008. We had 2 games left. We played Stevenage on Tuesday night at Stevenage, and Cambridge at home on the Saturday. Cambridge already in the playoffs. Stevenage, they have to beat us on the Tuesday night to get in the playoffs. We have to pick 3 points. I remember we beat Grays Athletic on the Saturday, 1-0, and we had to beat Stevenage at Stevenage to stay up, so we don't have to go to the last game of the season. And ironically, we end up beating Stevenage at Stevenage 2-1. And I remember Chris Wilder on the way back, and the coach, Chris Wilder, was at Halifax at the time. They ended up getting relegated. He sent me a text. I still got the text now. F me, you needed snookers. How did you manage to do that? and yeah, that's one of the funny memories. So, but look at him now, and look at me now. He's gone on to the Premier League, and I'm looking for a job.
Yeah, would you ever have thought at that point that he'd go on to do so well with Sheffield United and Oxford and the likes?
No, I didn't. I played against Chris Wilder's team a few times. I think he's done brilliant, absolutely brilliant, and I love the fact that he worked from not just non-league, even below the conference level, to work all the way in every division to get to the Premier League. That's a huge achievement. And to be fair, there is no magic wand there. Chris Wilder was self-belief, work ethic, and he got certain traits that got him all the way to the top. And you can only admire that.
Yeah, and then obviously you had coaching spells in the Football League under Graham Westley. Just how big an impact was he on your career?
Well, so the season we stayed up at Northwich, obviously in that summer we hit a little bit of brick wall. The club was a lot of problem in the back behind the scenes, and the club was he end up really going down 3-4 division for going to administration and for some regality. Basically, they gone down. So I got the phone call from Graham Westley, he was a manager when I played for him at Stevenage as a player, and he asked me to come and be his assistant at Stevenage. They started the season. They didn't start the season well. I think they were 19th in the league after 11, 12, 15 games. Not sure. And I came in to have a chat with him and had a look at the squad and had a look at where we need to improve. And then we stayed together. We ended up going an unbelievable unbeaten run, about 24 games unbeaten run when I joined in, and we end up sneaking in the playoffs. That year we lost to Cambridge in the semi-final though, and then we won the trophy final at Wembley. I enjoyed it that much. I decided to stay after that because at the end of the season I've only agreed to stay at the end of the season, but I knew me and Graham were clicked with the chairman, and we knew that we want to take the football club forward, and I ended up staying, and then obviously the following season we got promoted as a champion, another Wembley appearance, double promotion from League 2 to League 1. Actually, when we left Stevenage, we left them 5th in League 1.
Yeah, and then obviously you went to Preston.
Yeah, we went to Preston. It was probably was the wrong move if you look back at it now. It was a lot of discussion at the time. Should we go? Should we not go? Obviously, Graham is the decision maker. He's a manager. We are a management team sometimes, and we discuss a lot of things. And the good thing about Graham, he never treated me. He valued my opinion greatly. And there was a lot of discussion between us if what we should do, because we had a brilliant team at Stevenage. I think it was our third year together, and we were flying. And we certainly get in the playoffs that season in League 1 to the Championship, really. And then Preston came in, and and it's hard for a manager like Graham to turn down Preston North End. And then we decided to go. Obviously, our experience it was a very tough one, but we learned a huge amount from it, from managing a small club like Stevenage to a huge club like Preston, with the big budget. Our task, I think we inherited an £8 million budget, and we had to bring it down to £2-3 million budget. That's just, you go up there and you upset a lot of people straight away. Players who's been there for a few years are earning huge amounts of money. You go and tell them, well, you got no place for your other club anymore, and that will, that's never easy, really. We struggled for a year probably, but with probably what Graham says is we've done a fantastic job in terms of
And then obviously you had non-league spells back with Southport and Nuneaton, but then you went back to your old club Stevenage. Did you speak to Graham before taking the job?
Hello, sorry, I missed that bit there.
Oh no, it's fine. So you went back to Stevenage in the end as first team manager. Did you speak to Graham about taking the job
as a first team manager?
Yeah.
No, at the time, no, I haven't. I'm not sure where Graham is. He might have been at Barnet at the time. No, after I was at Nuneaton, I ended up going to Nuneaton, and obviously I've done really well at Nuneaton. And I remember Phil Wallace, the chairman at Stevenage, he called me and he says, Dino, wherever you go, you win. That was his words. I still remember them now. He says, I want a bit of that winning at my football club. I think Stevenage were close to relegation when I took over 2018. We had 9 games, I think, to steer them away from relegation. We did that, and the following season we had a fantastic season. I had to scrap everybody in the summer and build the whole team from scratch. And we had a brilliant season where we won 20 games. We got 70 points. We missed out the playoff in the last day of the season by goal difference. Newport scored last minute against Morecambe to deny us place in the playoffs. That first season we had a brilliant year at Stevenage.
Yeah, you led them, right up the table, and no manager since has had as high a win record, win percentage.
No.
What do you think happened at Stevenage that's now made him drop straight down?
Well, after the first successful season we've had, that summer was a difficult summer. The first one, a second one, it's something that I've learned from in terms of our pre-season. We had a horrific pre-season in terms of injuries. I remember going to the first game of the season to Salford, and I had 9 of my first team players who's played last game of the previous season. 9 of them were injured. Wow. And that was really difficult. A week before the season start, you had 9 first team players injured, and I ended up playing with 2-3 players making their debuts. It was difficult. And that reflect on the start. We had 7 games, I think, without a win. And we had the 3 draws, 4 losses in those 7 games. We were getting edged out in games. We were drawing games. We were getting edged out 1-0 against Bradford, 1-0 there, and we weren't really. But the fact is, I had a lot of my players was out injured. I think the club reacted too quickly to change me. I think after 7 games, because I think my record the previous season at least will warrant me to give me more time in terms to get my first team players back on the pitch. And I think that's a decision. They make a decision and they live and die by. And I think that decision, since I left, I think 15 games later, they only managed to win 4 games since. So I'm sure the hierarchy at Stevenage, they look at that decision and they think, well, they acted too quickly then, and when they changed it, it wasn't really the right decision to do.
Yeah, they certainly might be regretting it now. But you jumped more or less straight in to Oldham Athletic. What was it like last season with obviously COVID hitting? What was it like to deal with the club?
Well, the first thing is when I got the call about Oldham, I think I've got it 2 days after I left Stevenage. I got the call from Oldham, and the first thing is I think of Oldham Athletic is a big club. It's an ex-Premier League club. That's first thing. Big stadium, big fan base, and I couldn't refuse the offer. I knew there was a lot of. They didn't start the season well. They were 23rd in the league, I think, when I took over. They had their own problem as well. I think they haven't won a home game since the start of the season. And I looked I jumped straight away, basically, and I went in there, and the job was, I always try and make it clear when I take jobs from the chairman, because clarity is the most important thing of managing, if that makes sense, with the players and with the managing above as well. And the job was to make sure they stay in the Football League last season, and then get to the summer, and then build a team to compete top end of the table. That was the job. Obviously, I inherited what I inherited, and we did our best with the group of players we've had. We managed to stay away from relegation with about 90 points from the bottom 2, and then COVID hit. Obviously, I end up leaving for different reasons, because it wasn't what we agreed on at the beginning, and we decided to move on before the new season kick on.
Yeah, so obviously you left in the July. So what's next? What have you been doing to keep yourself busy, and what's next on the horizon for you?
Well, you can't go to games. Obviously, you can't do that. But I've subscribed to Weir Scout. You probably know it, and yeah. I've been watching a lot of games. I put myself a couple of games every day, keep myself busy at all level: League One, League Two, National League. Just keep myself with the players, know any new trends going on in the game. A lot of learning. Webinar with the LMA, they've been fantastic. They're putting a couple of classes every week. Different speakers. We had Arsene Wenger speak. We had Sam Allardyce speak. We had Gareth Southgate speak. We had a lot of. We had Ancelotti. One of them spoke. So a lot of learning, a lot of evolving, some reflecting as well at the previous jobs. My strengths as managers, an area that I need to improve on. Prepare myself really for when I get to that next job. I make sure that I'm ready for it. I'm taking time with it, because if I look back at my last 5 jobs, actually, every job I took, there was a team in the bottom 2, and I end up a specialist in terms of saving those clubs. Every job I took, I managed to improve their points per game at least by 50% and keep them safe. So I'm hoping my next job would be a job where with a team with a bit of ambition for promotion, because I need those promotion in my CV as a manager as well, and I'm determined to do that.
Yeah, no, that's interesting that you talk about your next job. But how do you feel you operate best as a manager? Is it when you're in control of everything, or when you delegate roles to your management team, or how do you feel like you work best?
I think the word control is an interesting one, because Sir Alex Ferguson, the biggest thing he spoke about is control. in the modern game, to get control is really, really, really difficult because you find a different type of chairman now, how they were 20 years ago. There's a lot of sporting directors of football, head of recruitment. All those jobs all those people got jobs to make decisions as well as you are. I think you got to be adaptable. You got to move on with time. I think there is room to work with the sporting directors. There is with directors of football. Definitely, there is room to have a head of recruitment where he can tap into areas where you as a manager, you want to focus on bigger things, if that makes sense. I always try to focus on the three big things that make the biggest impact onto the team and to the players. So delegating those jobs in the right way would definitely help the manager to manage his team better, if that makes sense. So you have to be adaptable to whichever situation. But the most important one is it's a clarity. If I go to a football club, speak to the chairman, Mr. Chairman, what do you want from me? And how do you see your football club in next 2-3 years? Let's agree to that first. And then when we agree to that, start working backwards from there. So that's where we want to be. And let's work back from there. And we stick to that.
Yeah.
The results will go up and down. But you got to stay in the same principle. You got to believe in the process that is going to get you there. If you're going to swap and change and get upset because you lost the game, and that's not going to be beneficial to you as an owner or to your football club. And I've always told them, especially at our level, League One and League Two and National League, I tell chairman, there is two ways you're going to get success. You either spend loads and loads of money at it, or give a manager time to build a team. And I look back at League Two, for example, and I look back and I'm thinking, well, the two managers that I really admire, John Coleman at Accrington and Gareth Ainsworth at Wickham. Gareth Ainsworth at Wickham in 2015, they stayed in League Two with last game of the season by goal difference. They didn't go and sack him, Wickham. They stayed with him. 4 years later, he's in the Championship now. John Coleman the same. I can't remember the season, 2016, 17, or 15 or 14. Again, they were very, very, very close to relegation out of the Football League. Accrington, Stanley. They didn't go and change John Coleman. They gave him more time. And now I watch Accrington, and they play beautiful brand of football, well-established team in League One with very, very little resources. Same as Wickham. They got their identity. Everybody know what Wickham like. Everybody know what Accrington like. But that's over. Both managers that had 7, 8, 9 years together, and that give you success. Or if you have a big budget, you can go throw money at it, and you will get promoted. Hopefully, not guaranteed. What I guaranteed is time. Give someone time. Trust someone, a manager, to give him enough time to get you somewhere, and he will get there. And I've always said it: either money or time. You can't. I've had jobs. I had the jobs I've had, small budget, but they expect top results. And I'm thinking, well, you can't really. If you want that, you got to spend that. If you're a League Two club and you want to guarantee top 3 position, you got to spend 2-point-something million to get promotion out of the league. If you're a £1 million budget, like I was at Stevenage when we got to miss out of the playoffs with 1 point, you got to be exceptional to break in the top 10. We had the 3rd lowest budget in the league this season that we got 70 points. Behind us with Macclesfield and Morecambe and then Stevenage. I finished 1 point outside the playoffs. Those other 2 teams finished 21st and 22nd. Mm-hmm. So I think judging a manager, I think you should judge him on the resources he got available to him. Sometimes as a manager, I'm averaging probably, I've got about just shy of 40% win ratio. 39%, 40%, I think, around there. You look at that and you think, well, that's okay. That's good enough. That's better than a lot of managers who's working now. But why is he not at 50 or 60, 70%? Because I never worked with teams who top 3, top 4 teams where they're going to win a lot of games. If you look at Pep, if you look as example, or Klopp, those managers, they're going to win a lot of games anyway because they're Man City. Man City, doesn't matter who the manager is, they're going to win a lot of games.
Yeah.
And I love Pep, by the way. I love Klopp. But I'm just giving an example of if you are a big club with better players, you're going to win a lot anyway. Regardless who the manager is, you're going to get a 60% win ratio anyway. But my win ratio came with teams from the bottom two. They were averaging, every team I took, they were averaging about 0.6 to 0.7 points per game. And I moved every one of those teams, the 5 teams that I managed, to 1.3, 1.4, 1.5. So
Yeah.
I actually doubled their points per game in every job I took. So I think as a manager, and not just for myself, you've got to be judged on the resources you have available to you, the type of teams and the job. The points per game is big for me. When you took a club, what you inherit, what you inherited, and where you left that team there. And that's the improvement that I see it. And you guys, you know a lot about analyzing things, football and all the rest of it. And I analyze jobs like that as well. I'm big on analysis, and I break everything down because that's what the market say.
It's definitely one of the things that are moving football forward with is analysis. How would you implement it into your coaching process at a club? Is it a big part of the post-match? Is it a part of the pre-match? Could you talk us a bit through how you would, as a coach, implement it?
Well, it's massive for me. It's massive. I know a lot of people saying, well, that, but I think it gives you guidance. Definitely. If you break a game down, it gives you trends. It put you in a position, if I'm discussing with my coaching staff, where I look at a monthly review, let's say, if I'm looking at we're not scoring enough goals, well, what's the reason for that? And you look at the attacking third entry, the type of entry we made. I'll break it down, pages and pages and pages and pages, and there is always a reason for it. If you look close enough, you'll find the reason within the game you're playing. So how I implement that? I'm big on watching games back. I'm big on reviewing. I've got a match pack, I call it. And I've got a monthly review in every club I took. I have my analysis guy. They probably don't like me very much because I give them a lot of workload to do. and I break it down to certain segments really, in possession, out possession, most of it, and set plays. And these 3 areas I look at in terms of set plays: how many times the first contact, attacking or defending. The second ball, so everything I break down really. But then when I show it to the players, with the players, I've only give them no more than 3 points. The biggest points again, you look at everything because you don't want to complicate it too much to them. Mm-hmm. Break it down to them and pick a big 3 points. I'm big on 3 points. Give them the big 3 points. What do we need to do there? We're getting that because of that. Look at that.
Yeah, that's a big thing.
So I remember at Stevenage a couple of years ago. We had a lot of success from scoring from crosses, and we knew that if we delivered 20 crosses a game, we would get 2 goals. 2 goals, you are 80% certain you're going to win the game. So I want to be in the 80% bracket of winning the match. So I'll make sure that we work on our crosses, certain areas we cross from. There is certain areas. So if you are outside the box to the touchline, you hang the balls to the back post because that's where you're going to get the second ball. You're not going to score from the first phase. You're going to score from second phase. If you are in the middle of the 18-yard wide area, you cross it by the penalty spot because that's where the goals are going to come from. First phase. If you are in the byline, I used to show with my players video and work with in training round, pull back to the second 6-yard box, I call it, which is around the penalty spot. Yeah. On the floor, because most goals get scored from there. So the runs of my forward, you go in to pull back. As a wide player or a fullback, if you get to the byline, you have to pull that ball back. You just got to pull it back, try it on the floor as well. And that's how you get. So you break everything down, you know where you get your success from, and harness that and work with that. And then at least then your wide players know when he's crossing the ball. So if we know where the wide player is crossing the ball from, we know where the forward's going to attack it from. And that way you create like a cohesion in the team where there is understanding in the team. So I use the camera in training. I'm big on watching games back, big on analyzing my team, the opposition. So I think it's, everything is about analysing. Really, give me anyway a good measure to where I'm going to, what I want to. It's always relevant to it, isn't it? There's always relevant.
Yeah. Would you say that then the analysis side that you've looked at, has this affected your game model and how you set up your teams in a certain way? Because you've not always had the time when you've joined your jobs, especially with Stevenage. You joined mid-season. Does that affect how you implement that style of play, or game model as we'd call it?
Well, I remember when I first took Stevenage, I think they were 19th in the league, and over there, I looked at them, and they didn't realise at the time. My first meeting with them was with the team that I inherited at the time, March 2018, I think 17 maybe, or 18, 17. I'm not sure. I can't remember the year. Sorry. My first meeting with them was I looked at the team, and over the previous 26 games, if the league started 26 games before, we would have been bottom of the league. We were 24th over the last 26 games of the season, averaging 0.6 points per game, something like that. And when I wrote this on the board to the players were shocked, because the league table says the 19th, but actually the league table of the last 26 games, they were rock bottom. So that realization first, see where you are. That's where you are. Why are you there? Because you concede a lot of goals. A lot of them late goals they're conceding. So analyze that. You have a look at where they're failing, and then share it with them. They become aware of it. You know, I used to say it as a joke. You know, if you are an alcoholic or a gambler, you don't cure that problem unless you actually look at the fact and says, "Yeah, I'm an alcoholic. I'm a gambler." Then you start cure it. So the first thing is a realization where you're falling short. With the proof, you know, with the proof is video. You got video, you got stats in front of you. We're not scoring goals because we're not making enough attacking entries. We're not doing that because of that. Because if we're making 260 passes per game, you're not going to create a lot of chances.
Mm-hmm.
So you break everything down. You share it with your players, with your staff. This is where we are, and this is how we're going to go forward. To do that, we need to. How are we going to get to attacking third? By controlled possession. How are we going to do that? We've got to be braver on the ball. We've got to trust each other with the ball. Let's make sure that when we regain the ball, that first pass is crucial to get us control of possession, and then build up play from there. So you break it down, you make it enjoyable, you make them part of the process, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Do you struggle with buy-in occasionally, though, with a lot of senior pros who have obviously gone through and not had analysis in the level of detail you're describing? Do you find trying to get them on side, especially with the statistical and the video, as something to manage?
Well, it does get boring sometimes, but you always got to be conscious with it, not doing too much with it. So what I used to do is, on Monday we always do a group. Monday and Friday we do a group one, because Monday you review the weekend's game. The Friday you're talking about the opposition on the Saturday, but then you got Tuesday and Thursday, you break them into your groups. You get the defenders together in the three small groups. Sometimes you get the goalkeepers together, the forward together, the wide players together. So you end up doing a lot of unit work at lunchtime, where even the shy people, I find in the group, smaller groups, you find people talk a lot more. They take more initiative. They learn. They value that, because they're thinking, oh, actually, you got 30 players and you invest in time with me. So you get that's how you get the buy-in from smaller groups, if that makes sense.
Yeah, totally agree. I think was that taken from any other sports? Because I know the NFL are very big in America on the unit instead of the individual, or then as a collective. Or was that something that you picked up on from other places in your career?
I think you pick on it from working, really, from practice. As you practice, I think it's really important to learn from other sports. I agree with it, and I see a lot of NFL, I see a lot of basketball, I read a lot of books about that and all the rest of it. And it's about getting the best out of individual in order to improve a collective effort, to improve a team. And the best way to do that, if ideally, of course, you spend a lot of one-on-one as well with the players, but you don't have enough time to spend one-on-one all week with them. You pick and choose. But you find it, you come to the conclusion where, yes, collective videos, sometimes they get boring. I don't want a room of 30 people talking how our back four defending, because if I'm a centre forward there, I'm thinking this is boring me. I don't want to hear about as a centre back how we're going to open his body up and and how to, mark half space and to do that. They won't be interested in that. They turn them off.
Mm-hmm.
And I've been playing, and I understand that as well. So I'll end up just the big groups is all about the team. The team, the theme is about the team. The smaller groups is about individual groups and individual players and groups.
So we're just going to wrap up the podcast now because I'm quite conscious of time, but we've got a few quick fire questions from our listeners. So
it's gone very quick, to be fair.
That's all right, no worries. The first one is then, what's been your favourite game that you've ever coached in, either as a manager or as an assistant?
My favourite game is Northwich Victoria Stevenage Football Club in 2008. The game we won 2-1, where we stayed in the league. That's my favourite night in football as a manager.
Who is the best player in your career that you've managed or coached across all levels?
I would say George Boyd attitude is the best I've ever seen, with the talent he has as well. I think the best one, I would probably go out there. I might upset one or two. Luke Freeman, another one, you might get upset. But I think Ilias Chair at QPR, not good for you, the Bees.
No, not too.
I know Ilias Chair he was fantastic. Every level, he was brave with the ball. He's talented. He was a maverick, and I loved working with him.
What is the biggest challenge as a coach you faced in your career?
I think managing expectation probably the biggest one for any manager, really, because especially now with the social media and how big it is, I think the influence of there is no consequences is in you lose a game and the social media, everybody wants you out, and that put pressure on owners sometimes to react. While in the past, probably there wasn't as much social media, and the owners would give managers more time, if that makes. They don't react into the social media. But I think the introduction of social media and the free criticism, everybody can go, even if he's not a fan, he go and jump on someone's bandwagon on a bad weekend, then get him out. And that put pressures, I think, on football clubs and owners to make a decision, and more likely they're going to be wrong decision.
And lastly, to finish up, if there was one law you could change in the game of football, what would it be?
Oh, I never thought of this one.
It can apply to all levels, so if something like get rid of VARs up there, then we're more than welcome to hear that.
No, I don't mind VAR. I think there was I don't like the 5 subs. But hopefully that's not going to stay long. If there is one rule I would change, it would be probably goal kicks long goal kicks. Not allowed to kick it no longer than certain area. You've got to play from the back, basically.
Would that be in youth football, or would you go like across the board?
I think across board. Can you imagine no goal kick? You can't play long. You can't play long goal kicks, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that would certainly change some teams in League Two, wouldn't it?
I think that's one of the ugliest things in football. I remember when I first came to England, and we never do that where I come from in Tunisia. We just play with the other team, retrieve, and we play from the back. And then everybody huddles up to one corner of the pitch, and the goalkeeper kicks it there, and everybody jumps. And I never got that. A few years later, I got it. But I found it very weird, and I'm thinking, I think we're the only country in the world who do that. Everybody holds up in one side of the pitch, and the goalkeeper kicks it, and everybody go jump and head it.
Yeah,
that's ugly part of football. I don't enjoy that.
Brilliant. I must say, there's some great insight there from you, and I really, really do appreciate you spending your time with us this afternoon. And thank you so much, and it's been an honour to chat to you.
No worries at all. I'm sorry for the time. I know we could have chatted for a lot longer, but thank you very much. Keep doing what you're doing. You're fantastic guys, and I'll watch out of your podcast, and I'll follow you.
Brilliant.
Cheers, Dino.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Dino.
Thank you guys. Take it easy. Bye.
Bye.
Right, that concludes the 8th episode of the Bees Analytica Podcast. Thank you so much for listening. It's been great to get some guests on, and we couldn't do it without any of your support. Please remember to like, subscribe, and share it where you can. It does really massively help with views. Thank you, and we're on to the next one.